you can, but it's
And we are live, guys. Okay. So welcome back, everyone, to the All Things Aged Care Weekly Wrap-Up. This live stream is brought to you in collaboration with Australian Aging Agenda, who have generously offered 2 tickets to the 2026 Positive Aging Summit, which is locked in for 21st of May in Adelaide at the Hilton. This is an event that drives the importance of reablement and allied health in aged care. So thank you, Mark Ryu and Natasha Egan, for offering double passes worth $2,000. If you want to purchase tickets ahead of time, head to www.positiveagingsummit.com.au to book your tickets now. And if you do purchase tickets but happen to win the double pass, Mark will refund you your purchase. My name is Anthony Nguyen, aged care recruitment expert and host of the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. If you're looking for a clinical spot on my podcast. Next, we have Robert Covino, founder of CEO and Mirrors Australia, a leading voice in aged care innovation and data-driven transformation. He led the creation of technologies like Mirrors Metrics, Care Minute Manager, and now Mirrors Plus, an AI-powered platform uniting software and data to streamline everything from admissions to compliance. And rounding out our hosting crew is Owen Matheson, strategic connector and founder of Mission Critical Group. He works with owners, boards, and executives with a knack for connecting the right people, opportunities, and capital to unlock growth and drive innovation. A natural MC, Owen will be guiding our conversations, keeping things insightful and full of energy. Our special guest for today is the CEO of ARIA, also known as Aged Care Research and Industry Innovation Australia. Reuben is a technically astute and commercially minded leader with great analytical and problem-solving abilities developed through working in private, public, and not-for-profit sectors. So please welcome Reuben Jacob to the show.
We're raising the roof for Reuben.
Cue sound effect.
Thank you for the kind intro, Anthony, Robert and Owen. Lovely to be here and look forward to the next hour.
Likewise.
Great to have you on.
Thank you. We're going to go on a fantastic adventure together, Reuben. And we love what you're doing at ARIA. For those who don't know, what is ARIA all about?
Sure. ARIA came about as a result of 2 policy decisions, one of which being the Royal Commission. So ARIA's mission is to improve aged care workforce capability through the use of best practice and evidence, through the use of innovation, and through the use of technology, and thereby improving holistic care quality for older Australians. So our primary lens is the workforce and providers, the secondary lens, and the most important lens, obviously, are our older Australians. So that's how we view the world. Absolutely. How do we do all of that? Through a number of different programs.
Yes. Right. And you've got an amazing a group of programs there. Talk us through the different stakeholders and the sort of programs you're working on.
Will do. So ARIA's founder is Professor Sue Gordon. She worked with Camilla Sergi a while ago and essentially co-designed what ARIA should look like. So right from the beginning, this was developed with the sector and for the sector. So what the sector said they wanted is basically ARIA. So how do we then, so what did the sector tell us and what are we doing? So the sector wanted access to best practice information and evidence-based information, but an easy to grab lay language. So no p-values and none of that jargon, but simple to use evidence. So what we did is we have a team of researchers that synthesize evidence from research and grey literature and put that out in year 10 language. We don't just provide facts.
Fantastic.
Indeed. We also provide what one could do to implement that in your own home if you're caring for your loved one, or in an aged care provider landscape if you're looking at a more holistic system level. So that's what that problem was, and that's our solution to that. Now, having evidence is great, but how would you implement it without
Yes,
having
great
capability?
question, Reuben.
Mhm.
You beat me to it.
Wonderful. So again, when Sue then explored that back at the core development phase, the sector said that they wanted access to capability development programs, and that's our change management, innovation, and leadership programs that we have that address
Right.
that gap.
Yes.
Well, you have capability, you have evidence. How do you then put it into practice? So that's where our virtual incubator comes into play. So
Mm.
anything from ideas through to minimum viable products at the other end. What we do is making sure that anyone who comes to us has the best chance of success. We define
Awesome.
success as failing fast or succeeding.
Yes.
And we
Love that.
make sure that an HK provider and an older Australian are involved in that development of that project so that it's got the best chance of success. So that's sort of the continuum.
Yes.
How do you fund projects? Well,
That's a great
that's where
question
our
again,
grants come
Reuben.
to in. So we funded projects. So to date, we've funded about 72 projects to test something in an HK
Brilliant.
setting.
Yeah.
So if you look at it end to end, we're starting at a more macro level cutting through to individual projects at the micro level. That still then, once they work or don't work, that could be shared back to the macro level. So that's sort of how we work.
Oh, that's
So you bring an amazing body of knowledge together. And in terms of setting the projects up to win and leveraging, standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before, what's the sort of the industry input opportunity there? So have you got, people who have built businesses before or existing what's the sort of combination of the Brains Trust?
Sure. We have a couple of groups that we tap into. One's called our
Yeah.
sector reference group, and the other ones are basically a subject matter expert group.
Yes.
So, to give you a flavor, we have older Australians in it. We have
Right.
CIOs of various aged care organizations. We've got serial entrepreneurs and founders. We've got all sorts of different aged care executives and other peak bodies represented in that group. So depending on whatever we're working on, we pull in the right expertise that's needed so that that project has the best chance of succeeding. We also have access to a team of researchers both internally and across the country that we also pull in if needed.
Wow.
No, it's good. It's a great program. So I've had a little bit of experience too with it, Reuben, and speaking to, but also hearing about Peter Staples' journey with building Menad Plus in the 90s, and back then we are in a low technology adoption industry when compared to many other industries. And so, Reuben, your comments about the enablement layer and the training and that it's such a critical component because I see so many projects in my career. The great concepts, everything stacks up, but it is that last mile of just everything from the endorsement and the change management to really then that technology buy-in on that front. So that's what I found is so unique about the ARIA and how the approach of some of those programs for our industry. You really know the industry and the use cases. I guess my question is then. Talk to us about some of where these use cases come from. Are some of them literally coming from the floors by AINs, PCWs, up to some of the thought leaders that the industry knows about? Like, where is that, and what could some of the viewers also take away to go? You know what? I've got some pretty good ideas. I'm at the coalface. This is where most of that innovation happens, and I get it. I'd love to hear what some of those stories and your favorite projects are and where it's come from.
Sure. So unashamedly, all of them come from the sector. So we don't drive an agenda, but rather have an open arms embracing anything that comes in.
Love that.
And that's indeed. And that's a
open arms.
That's it. And that's a testament to the ARIA team. We are really blessed with a fantastic team. We have researchers with wonderful and diverse backgrounds. We have people that have worked in aged care at various different levels, both residential and home care.
Right.
We have clinicians on our team, and we also have, your normal corporate kind of people. So we have quite a diverse expertise. And when you smash them all together, the conversations are fun
Oh,
and
they
very
would be.
future looking.
Yeah. Yeah. You got this melting pot of different life experience and passion for change, no doubt, throughout your culture. Let's take a step back for a moment because we do want to go deeper on ARIA, but you are a human being, Reuben Jacob, and we want to know your story. So, what brought you to here? Maybe some of the early years. Is this always what you wanted to work towards, or have you kind of fallen into this? What's been your journey? Where did you start out, and why, and how did you end up at ARIA?
Oh, thank you for the question, Owen. That's a great one. And my answer is I've had a very zigzaggy career journey. I started life as a geneticist. I was a researcher.
Wow.
Yeah. And we unofficially, so our official tagline for ARIA is shaping the future of aged care. Our
Wow.
unofficial tagline
Okay.
is the
Yes.
home of lost physios and molecular biologists.
It's a safe place. If you're a lost physio or a molecular biologist, there is a safe place for you.
Where are the astrophysicists?
Yeah, let's not discriminate against the rocket scientists.
That's
They're
right.
people too, Reuben.
Absolutely. If there are
Yeah.
astrophysicists that are passionate in
Yes.
joining the aged care journey, talk to us.
Well, I noticed you're in Adelaide. You've got the Space Centre. You've got a bit of a proactive space community there, haven't you?
We do. We certainly do. I need to spend some time there,
Lot
maybe.
14. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you started out, and so I should be asking you I am going to come back to the DNA of ARIA because being who could be better qualified to answer that question? But tell us more. So you started out as a geneticist. What sort of things were you working on initially?
I was working on cancer, so markers
wow.
that could identify that you could use to identify cancer early. So that's was my area, and midway through that, I realized that the lab may not be the best place for me. There's a few reasons for it. I wanted to be more at the translational end rather than at the more discovery end.
Right.
And
Yeah.
therefore, I looked at what I could do with my background. And cutting a long story short, I was fortunate to intern with a VC, a venture capital fund in life
Yes.
sciences, and I really loved it. So I sort of went into the commercialization of research and technology, did that for a bit, and then moved
And there's a
into
whole,
management.
just on that, there's a whole
Yeah.
specialized community around for those who are interested at the bioengineering end of the spectrum.
Mhm.
You've got Oz Biotech, an amazing proactive association. You've got the different VCs like a Brandon Capital or a Main Sequence Ventures. It's a really fantastic community in its own right, isn't it?
It is. And in fact, it was Brandon that I interned with that opened my eyes to go to the dark side. And the other one, obviously, is MTP Connect that plays a big connecting role
Yes.
in that space too.
Yes.
And
what
so
sort of projects did you work on at Brandon on the commercialization side?
Oh, look, I was an intern, so I did a lot of background due diligence work, and I worked across a number of different projects. This was some time ago, but yes, so not all sorts of different things. And it was more so what I really attracted me was that you're actually taking something that has potential and taking it closer to the end user, and that really was where I wanted to be. And that sort of took me there.
Yeah. We will raise the roof on that. So you
Thanks,
make me
guys.
think of the art of the lean canvas and an Eric Ries kind of. Did you sort of read books in that sort of direction of what does an MVP look like? And for those playing at home, a minimum viable product. it's getting out of the building, isn't it? You're alone with your thoughts and your assumptions, but you need to test that the market actually has appetite. What was that like for you, going on that journey for the first time, having a passion to discover it?
Well, as an intern too,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolute fun, and I knew nothing other than the biological side of things. So I basically learned and absorbed as much as I could, and that was a fun experience. And Brandon Capital, in particular, they were very, very kind to me and included me on all sorts of meetings and all sorts of projects that really improve my exposure to the space. And then I was fortunate to get a gig with Bioinnovation SA that existed quite a number of years ago. And that was even more fun. And again, I was really blessed with good managers and directors who, again, supported my development. And then we pivoted from anything bio to anything deep tech, and we became Tech in SA. And that was even more fun. So we started playing with space tech and mining and defense
very
and
cool.
software and all sorts of wonderful things.
AI.
And that was really fun.
Yeah. Automation back in those days. What was it? It wasn't called AI.
It's been
until
around a
recently.
long time.
Yeah. AI has been around for a long time under different names, hasn't it?
It sure has been.
And what was that would have been quite fascinating. So deep tech in SA at that time. What were the groundbreaking innovations that you were seeing?
Oh, look, some of the companies that are still going strong. Myriota is one that's still growing here. Fleet Space is another one.
Fleet Space is amazing. You should explain that's really going somewhere. Amazing female entrepreneur, Flaviola, and then the micro satellite. Yeah, Flavia.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
And then in the med space, there's Ferranova, Carina Biotech, just to name a few, and that are still going strong, and a whole bunch of other things that I had the opportunity to work with.
And by that stage, you weren't an intern anymore. So what
No.
sort of role were you playing at that level?
Oh, look, it was a state government agency. So what was my title? I think I was industry development officer. I think my title was. So I got to play with all sorts of different things.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
And so is the you had some exposure to the aged and the broader healthcare sector through some of those projects, or?
Some of them, yes. And I wouldn't really, if I'm really honest, there was probably one project in my entire time that sort of intersected into aged care. And up until that stage, aged care largely wasn't on my radar, other than from a personal networks perspective, that people who were aging. And then even my next step was with a company in clinical trials, where I was at a management level. And again, there we intersected with a couple of aged care providers who did their own research internally, but then came to the organization I was with, called Belbury, for human research ethics reviews. Even until that point, I wasn't really exposed to aged care other than sort of an arm's length. So no, I was quite naive to aged care, if I'm honest.
Well, there's attraction there, and it's great to have a brain like yours land in the sector. I'm always curious, what is the why? There's got to be a why behind it. The subconscious why that we all have, but it only comes out later in the journey.
Starts to surface.
Indeed. So I'll explain the why. It must be December 2020. One or two, I can't remember. And Camilla Sergi, who I said one of the co-founders of ARIA.
Was it a Thursday or a Friday,
right? So Camilla Sergi put out a post on LinkedIn that ARIA had received funding, and this was its mission, and this was what they wanted to do, and they were looking for a number of different people. And I went, this sounds very cool. This sounds very interesting. And it's a space where you can make absolute impact working with some pretty passionate people. Obviously, I've known people in aged care and them describing aged care. And I thought, oh, that sounds very, very interesting. So picked up the phone to Camilla and then had a chat about it, and then put in an application. I joined as the COO initially,
Right.
and then when Camilla moved on to something else, the interim board at that stage offered me the interim CEO gig, and I took it, and then no turning back. It's been one fun ride and one very fulfilling run as well.
So tell us a little bit about the journey of ARIA. So it's a newish organisation, obviously, and the original intention of the organisation vis what you're doing now. Has there been any shift around priorities as you started to engage more with industry?
Our priorities haven't changed from our initial
Yeah.
intent.
Yes.
Our mission still stays strong and has always been. The way we've navigated ARIA, so Sue and I were initially partners in crime. So we've constantly pivoted, and again, credit to our team who said, "Oh, look, this is what we're really seeing when we're delivering these programs. I think we need to do it like this and pivot this way so that it actually is more easier for the sector to engage with us. Because if we're doing it the way we are, it's a bit harder for them." And we sort of constantly pivoted based on what the sector wanted us to do, and we sort of met the sector where they are.
Yes. And it's important to do that, isn't it? That you've really put them first as the stakeholders that need to be heard, as opposed to imposing your methodology, your thinking. You know, you've got a smart group of people, but what I'm hearing there is passion is outweighing the smartness, the collective intellectual priorities. It's more heart-driven by the sound, or more impact-driven.
Absolutely.
For purpose. And we're all about building a community of purpose here at All Things Aged Care. We do have George Margellis in the virtual waiting room. He's enjoying our Mai Tais in the green room right now. I don't know if we can get a picture of George. He's just making sure it's taste testing.
Hi, George.
So he will come and say hi. And do you want to give him a little bit of notice? Oh, there he is. Hi, George. Around what are the sort of things you would love to discuss with George, so he has a moment to think about that before he comes in at the half-hour mark.
Sure. I mean, George, he's been someone who's involved with the ARIA journey for a very, very long time, and he's interacted with us on a number of different initiatives in different shapes and forms. So I'd love to hear George's perspective on ARIA's evolution, and as well as some of the work he's done for us and what he's found are areas where we've done well. But equally, I'd love to hear where we could do better.
Love that. They're two very good questions, and very, very transparent of you. I love that.
Well, I think too on that front too. I'm just thinking of some of the viewers we've had in and called in on the show. And Matthew, we had a lot of them are entrepreneurs in their own right. They've come to this industry and they're bringing their ideas. They've cared for grandparents, parents. They've even probably did different types of roles within human services, but they have ideas. And I think as an entrepreneur myself, I get approached by a lot of the next generation to talk about it. But I think for somebody that's a new budding organization that really wants support and what ARIA has to offer, I guess what advice and what does that look like? So if I'm watching this and I've got an AI concept and I'm just finished up at UTS or wherever it may be, or if I'm just working at a site and I can see things and it's impacting my teams and the way I am able to engage and do my role. How would they start a conversation with ARIA, and how can we, foster that or help them understand the pathways of what you offer?
Love that.
Great question, Rob. Look, we have, as I said, a very, very wide door, and we embrace everyone with open arms. So reach out to us.
Big open arms at ARIA. That's our ARIA thing now. We love ARIA. We're raising the roof for ARIA and their wide open arms.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Look, we are eager and keen to listen to you. we don't pretend to be the experts in everything. We have some expertise, of course, but certainly our I guess way of working is that when you come to us, you are the expert in whatever you're doing. We just provide some guidelines along the way, and the other thing we do is acknowledging that we are not the experts in everything. We then connect you with other experts who actually know what they're talking about when it comes to whatever you're working on. So to the best of our abilities, we will help you, or we will point you to someone who can help you. Why you should come to us? Well, most of our programs are either completely subsidized by the Commonwealth or partly subsidized, and in which case we basically offer it at cost for us. So basically it's a cost recovery model that we work on. So for us, and we are a charity by setup. So it's not about the money for us, but rather making the difference and making sure that the ecosystem grows, so that the rising tide pulls everyone up.
And Reuben, can you give a shout out to a few key people at ARIA?
Yes,
because I have
great
interviewed Dr. Rebecca Bilton, and there's I forgot the name of the lady that I've met as well. But one thing I've noticed about the people at ARIA, you're all passionate about what you do. Everyone I've met is flying the flag for aged care and innovation in the industry. But I do want to give a chance so that we can reach out to them and say hello as well. Who else should we introduce ourselves to at ARIA?
Look, every single person in ARIA is wonderful, and I don't mean that in a very cliched way, but rather I genuinely mean that. Like, walk into our office, talk to anyone. Within the first minute, they'll be excited, and so will you. And we've been really blessed to have that team, and that is the success. But if you are to reach out to us I guess to discuss anything, obviously Beck Bilton is our program and research director. We have Liana Donlevy, who's our aged care she's the senior manager for our aged care incubator. We have Holly Sparrow, who's senior manager for strategic projects. And we also then have very, very recent, in fact, week 1 is our senior manager for sector engagement is David Sykes, who's recently joined us from Dementia Australia.
Wow. Raising the roof for all 4.
Yes, we are definitely raising the roof for Beck, Liana, Holly, and David.
Good work out there.
Indeed.
That's great memory.
Open wide for the industry.
We love that.
Indeed. Ooh, I should also point out some more wonderful people. Tara Lloyd, she manages all of our education offerings. There is Stephanie Champion. She is a research fellow, but also a resident cult leader. So anyone who goes through our program, sorry.
I said I'll come to you when we do the open. Yeah, I love it.
Look, she is fantastic in that she genuinely looks after anyone that goes through our programs, and she goes out and supports everyone beyond what she can, in fact, which is fantastic offer. And look, I'm sure I've missed others that do go above and beyond, but Joe Chan is another who's part of Liana's team that again is a very passionate person, and there are others across the teams who are always out there connecting with people and wanting to make a difference. Another very recent hire I would add is Becca Hardy, who's leading our knowledge and implementation hub. She's come to us from you may have met her at the Aging Australia conference. She's come to us from Uniting in New South Wales.
Oh, great.
Brilliant.
Welcome back.
So the Knowledge and Innovation Hub, we hadn't heard that terminology.
Yeah, that's a new thing.
Yeah, let's dive into that for a moment before George joins the room. What is the Knowledge and Innovation Hub? What are you doing
and
there?
how do we get involved?
Absolutely.
Or how does one get involved as well? Yeah.
So it's a repository that sits on our website. going back to our conversation where I said we put out evidence-based
Yes.
best practice information, that's
Yes.
the hub. So every year we go to the sector and ask, what do you want us to work on for this year? And they give us topics for us to work on, and that then is where our team then focus their work on for the year. We track obviously who uses it, and then we use social media to publicize it. But we not only it is not only utilized by people in Australia, but also from across the world, which is a fantastic outcome for us. And we are very, very proud in the fact that we don't know everything. But we have a lot to learn from our counterparts across the world. For example, we have extensive relationships into Asia Pacific and Europe and North America.
Fantastic.
But if I use Asia as an example, technology and technology adoption is just a different ball game over there, and we have a lot to learn about how they've done that, whereas we've done other things well, such as our policies and the way we do things here, which we obviously share with them.
Wow.
I like that symbiotic nature. You want to give a shout out to any of those proactive Asian organizations or models that you've seen?
I'm seeing a lot of stage tours and other tours up to Asia to experience that firsthand.
So in terms of that, so that symbiotic relationship. So you're saying that speed of adoption that you're seeing is,
Indeed. Look, and this is not going to come as any surprise, right? I mean, very densely populated countries. I myself come originally from India.
Right.
Technology is it's different. It's very pervasive. Everyone has access to technology, or most people have access to technology. The digital literacy is quite high for the most part. You will find almost everyone on a smartphone and accessing everything in these countries. And then again, therefore, the innovators there, what they've done then is co-design and co-develop solutions there for those markets, and then have had huge successes. You've asked for exemplars, and so Beck and I were in Singapore earlier this year for the Aging Asia conference, and we then timed some visits around, and we were fortunate to visit a few places there. And for example, the Singaporean government, they set some KPIs for local councils for them to meet, to ensure that older people also have a good holistic quality of life.
Love that.
And since this council needs to implement that, they then very openly partner with tech companies to enable them to do so. So if you go to Singapore, there's a whole heap of tech companies there because, well, there's an environment there, and there's a carrot there for them to do so.
Yeah,
I think we will dive into that a little bit more, because I'm aware of Temasek Holdings and GIC and how proactive they are around technology adoption. But we're going to throw to Ant, because we've got George chafing at the bit to join you in this conversation.
He's ready.
We got the godfather
George,
of the healthcare industry, information
we're
technology.
acknowledging the godfather is in the room.
Bring in
Godfather, indeed.
Chief Technology Advisor at Aging.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes, can you hear me?
George,
you can tell. Thanks for inviting me along.
And tell us a bit about your journey, George, in terms of where you started out. There's a long list of LinkedIn roles that you've been involved in. But had you always had a passion for technology right from the beginning?
Or was it at RPA on the floor in the ERs?
Yeah, we're noticing you're a medical doctor by background. You've been outed.
That's right. No. First of all, thanks. Look, Look, I've always been a bit of a tech nerd. So, I mean, even from high school, I was one of those guys who did 4-unit maths, 2-unit physics, 2-unit chemistry type thing. And computing came across my. Yeah, I know. Computing came across my experience pretty early. Ended up doing medicine, spent a lot of time on the technical side, been involved in projects ranging from EMR implementations in hospitals through to things. But the focus over the last few years, really probably the last decade, has been around managing or supporting the aging population, because the demographics has been obvious. That's where we're going. So that's why I mean things like ARIA are amazing, because they really are focused.
I did want to pick up on your amazing work with ITAC, George. I think that's where you would have met a young Rob Covino. And if I may, what was Rob like back in those days?
About as loud as he is now, so I can't say he's quietened with age. No, Rob's always been a great asset at ITAC. He's always been actively engaged in the discussions. He doesn't sit back and just listen. He gets actively engaged. So I've got to thank him for that. But ITAC's been a great experience. I mean, the first ITAC was 2007.
Wow! Right! Wow!
We've been running ITAC since 2007, and it's
Yeah. What were the what was the founding idea, the why for ITAC when you first started?
Look, it was an interesting story. Back in about 2006, the government, it was actually a bit earlier, but 2005, the government launched a roadmap for aged care. And in that roadmap, there was absolutely zero mention of technology and innovation. It was all about, funding models. So back then, the two peak bodies, AXA and LASA, basically sort of said, and back then there were two competing peak bodies in aged care who, were actively competing in the industry, but they realized that this was a problem. So they actually formed what was then called the Aged Care Industry Information Technology Council, a joint venture between the two organizations, to look into this. And part of that was to sort of come up, and we actually came up with a technology roadmap back in 2006, and 2007 started running what started off as relatively small road shows, but evolved into conferences with 700 or 800 people over years, to highlight the fact that technology is part of the solution. It's not the be all and end all, but it is an important part of the solution. And the other side of that was innovation. I mean, that classic Einstein saying, you can't solve the problem that was caused by the way you're thinking by thinking the same way. So we've been trying to focus on innovation, how digital technology, because of the rapid rise of it is thing. And I would tend to say it's a bit of a success. We've had quite a bit of input in the area.
Absolutely.
And what would you say in terms of the stakeholder group? How's that changed over the years? Because obviously ITAC was reaching quite wide, but what did you see in terms of the people that engaged and benefited most?
There's a lot more vendors these days, I'll tell you
that. Look, I mean, well, initially it was really a meeting of the tech people in aged care. So it was very tech focused, but that's now extended. And we now have directors of nursing, CEOs, CFOs, COOs. We have a sort of much broader church of people attending the event. And we've had much broader discussions than just what's the best tech for solution A, B, or C. But as you pointed out, Rob, the other thing we've seen is an explosion in vendors in the space. The first conference we actually ran a road show back in Adelaide in 2006. We had like six vendors in the room. To the defense, there's people like Lee Care were there in 2006 and are still there. So there's some longevity in the space. That's was Autumn Care. But yeah, we've seen an explosion.
Was Manad in the room, George?
Sorry?
Was Manad in the room, our Peter Staples and the team?
Look, from memory, they were. I mean, I said it was a relatively small audience, a small group of vendors. There was only about 30 or 40 people from the group, but it's grown over the years. And yes, you saw this year at ITAC, we had a full-on trade floor, a fully packed room, and next year in Brisbane, we expect it to be even bigger and better.
No. And we were quite honoured to have the opportunity to launch the merger between Mirus and Manad at ITAC.
We did, didn't we? Yeah, that was a great venue as well, and that experience of the whole. I mean, you're so right. I mean, ITAC has always been to us as a vendor, really where the hard discussions and the real deep and final decision makers are in a room together, and sharing and getting feedback from their other colleagues, and then having the vendors all the way up to the directors or CEOs of the vendors there as well. So it's really a testament of what you saw back in 2005 to create that. I think my first ITAC was about 2006 or 7, but
So
I think
you
there was
are
like
an
half of those
ITAC
were
veteran
allied
there,
health
Rob.
companies too.
Look,
though,
and the other thing, of course, now is that we're extending that globally. I mean,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And on
absolutely,
that
yeah.
front, we've
The
given
move now is to
Reuben.
extend that globally. So, as Reuben pointed out,
Yeah. Can you?
as Reuben pointed out, we were in Singapore with Reuben, yeah, and his team.
Fantastic. Because I do want to talk about the symbiotic relationship we can see there. But before we move on from ITAC, do you want to give a few shout outs to the people who made ITAC what it was, George, over the years?
People of the council and behind the council.
The people behind the people.
Look. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to people like Anne Livingston, who played a key role in organising things and getting
We're
involved.
raising the roof for a few.
She's the godmother.
Suri Ramanathan, Rod Young, Greg
Young,
Mundy. There's been a whole bunch of people, but it's been a fair, and originally it was purely led by attendees. I mean, there was no resources behind it. There was no. I mean, again, before the first conference, we had zero money in our banks, but there was a whole bunch of people. But Rod Young, Greg Mundy, Anne Livingston, Sue Ramanathan, I think were the fourth who sort of really got it launched in. They dragged me in kicking and screaming very early on. I was working for a technology company.
So you got told there were drinks on at a venue, and then you turned up. What's this IPAC thing?
Actually,
but we are going to raise the roof for those famous four, the founding four.
The Avengers,
the original ITAC founding empowerers. And obviously Graham Wickenden, I've seen him there a bunch of years as well.
Graham played a critical role in our award ceremony. So Graham from the beginning was sort of chaired our awards group, and he's done a great job. And look, there was Bruce Collier was around. There was so many people that were supporting. And it's a guy from strength to strength. But again, it's growing, which is good.
So I love that we've got Reuben and Aria as a focus for the first part of the show. And please explain the sort of symbiotic relationship, because you could see that ideas were stimulated in like an ITAC industry meets, vendor type forum. But then there's the actual journey of shaping and adopting and taking to market.
Look, and the symbiosis is amazing. So Sue Gordon was actively involved with us for many, many years. And the key thing that we were supporting was that we knew that the technology played a great role in improving healthcare in aged care, but we didn't have an evidence base, and we didn't have local examples. So there were lots of with due credit to all the vendor colleagues, they all had examples of things that worked, but they were demonstrations of their own technologies. So we really were focusing on developing an evidence base for what works and supporting local and partner industries to play a greater role. We were involved in the early discussions around ARIA very early on. Sue brought us in, and we very much focused on that symbiosis. We wanted the sector to have an evidence base for the innovations they were implementing, but also, when they did implement innovations, be able to demonstrate them in a proper way. ARIA has been a huge supporter there by providing them with the governance models, providing them with a framework, providing them with a bit of funding to get them past those barriers. Because aged care is not an industry flushed with money, so doing research is something which is isn't high on the agenda purely because of the cost issues. ARIA has been a godsend in that it's enabled so many local providers to demonstrate innovation, local vendors to take their products and refine them and fine tune them, and also show the government and the payers the benefits. So it's for us, it's been a godsend. And they did some great events in Adelaide as well. So they're I have to say it all of them are very easy to work with. There's never an agenda on the table. It's very much around helping the industry grow.
Love that. And we've covered that before, but we're going to do it again. There's arms wide open at Aria. For anyone who's
Indeed.
listening, those arms are very wide open. Look how far Reuben's going there. Don't pull a muscle. We should have done some stretches before. But George, of your journey with Aria, there's been a number of projects that are listed in terms of that evidence base that you're building and the body of knowledge and the catalyst for change that Aria is. What have been a couple of the memorable or enjoyable ones that you've been involved with?
Look, you catch me off guard. There's been so many, and like I said, I was involved a bit earlier this year with some of the judging for the next series of grants. Look, the key thing I've discovered with it, especially with the ARIA grants, is that they are joint projects between a software or hardware provider and an aged care provider. I think that's been the biggest thing, and just a range of provider organizations that have put their hands up for the very first time. Many of these people have never been involved in research before, and
Wow.
because of the fact that ARIA opens the road for them to do so, I think it's been that's been the biggest part. Hard to pick a favorite project. Lots of great projects, but like I said, it's really just been that removal of roadblocks, and I think that's where the ARIA's really shun. And
that's how they do it.
Yeah,
That's open arms.
And I guess that's I want to pick up just on that as well, because with a lot of the listeners out there, and also I was adding earlier, George, just I think for people that have been out looking for capital or looking for support or a grant or even just co-contributions into something that they really believe in. I mean, you mentioned the grant process with ARIA, and it's probably for Reuben. What does that look like? How do they reach out? Is it once a year? Is it rolling? Is there a investment committee that you have to go in front of and present? Where is sort of the cap and collar for those listening that have some of those concepts and they really want to get involved? And how can they reach out and start that journey with you now?
I'll take for that for sure. I'll take a step back before I come back to that, and just building on what George said earlier as well. I mean, we've talked about various different stakeholders and the symbiosis between us and everybody else, and but I also want to use this opportunity to do that for the Australian government. They were bold in actually establishing ARIA. This is not a very common thing that happens. And in fact, if you looked at government-funded organizations, there's not many that look like ARIA. So it was a bit of a bold step that they took. And I'm grateful that they did, because the impact that it's made is just phenomenal. So just wanted to credit where credit's due to the Commonwealth government as well.
On that point, Reuben, are there some agitators that we should name that were really critical to the adoption and support of the government?
Look, I'm sure George would know them, but there were a couple of key government bureaucrats that were responsible for shaping and setting up ARIA. So one is Ross Bauer. She's now retired, but she was the director inside the department at that stage, and she was, a big driver in setting it all up. And the other person is Eliza Strapp. She was previously the first assistant secretary for the aged care part, but she's now moved on to more broadly into healthcare. But again, two passionate individuals, driven individuals wanting to make an absolute difference. And again, I wasn't involved at the initial journey with Sue and Camilla and George, but since coming on board, they've been very generous, very supportive, and really encouraged us to be where we are. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank them.
So we are going to raise the roof for Roz, Eliza, Sue, Camilla, and George. Thank you.
Hey guys, I want to bring Kim Davies onto the show. George, I want to keep you there. I'm going to trial a 6. This will be the first time I think.
Oh, here we go.
It did help that.
For everyone who doesn't know, Kim Davis is in the house.
Yes. So, Kim, adding you to the stage.
Come on down, Kim.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
There she is.
I just
And
wanted to say
Kim,
hello.
how are you?
Action. Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, just back at work today after a few weeks off, caring for Dad in his final days. But yeah, I just wanted to come in and say hi.
Yeah.
And daylight savings has got me all turned around, so I missed the start of the show. I'm sorry.
So, Kim, can we give you shared quite personally about your dad and the journey you've been on, and we want to honour you as a daughter that's gone out of her way, living right at the top of the north of Australia, to go all the way down to Victoria and spend a couple of weeks at a time you'll never regret that time that you've spent with your dad. But we'd love to give you the opportunity to honour your dad in this moment, because we're all about the people. We're about the people that care for the people. So
yeah. So Dad passed away from chronic kidney disease. So he was in in-state renal failure, and I tell you what, he's tough. He was off dialysis and for I don't know 4 or 5 weeks before he passed away, and everyone was sort of saying, "How is he doing this?" But
yeah,
you know, I've never been a carer in palliative care. Well, I've never been a carer who does personal care before. I teach people how to do it, but I've never done it myself. And it's tough, it's really tough. And I'm just in awe of what our staff do to support people in their final days. Palliative care in Victoria, big shout out to them. They were absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the district nursing service down there were terrific as well. But it really did make me sort of in my head do figures on, the new end of life program under supported home, and thinking, is $25,000 enough?
Wow. Yeah.
Certainly, for a family. So there was myself and my 2 sisters who were caring for Dad and Mum, because Mum's got a disability. And we were exhausted, and the nursing teams were great, but honestly, it falls back on family. So how on earth do people with no family support or very little family support care for someone with dignity and respect, and to do all the things that we gave our dad in his last days? How do you do that unless you've got a significant amount of care? So so it sort of raised a whole lot of questions in my mind. But I was down there for my mum's ACAT assessment, finally, that she's only been waiting 10 months to get. And and they assessed her as she's been approved for a level 2 package with a 3 to 6 month wait. And level 2, and they said, we can't justify a higher package because there's no cognitive impairment, but Mum's got severe mobility issues, and pretty much is completely dependent on people to shower, drive, clean, everything. And she's been approved for a level 2 in 6 months' time. So so it's been a really tough period of time, but I think we're making
thank you. Your story is amazing. I mean, even what you supported your father with. I mean, I had the privilege of doing that with my wife's father, and helping him. It's but it was at a time when Silver Chain lost their funding as well for the Peaches program. And I just felt, wow, this is a real step back, because the nurses, palliative nurses at Silver Chain were amazing to our family. And likewise, we had, 5 people on rotation plus a carer that was coming overnight. And I was thinking the same thing to the process of 11 days. But it was, I think, the only time for the family where they felt in control of something after, a good decade of just reacting to, a neurological condition that you just, all you can do is react to a phone call of a fall. And so I think it gave my wife, her sister, her mother just real closure on that event. And I think, to hear that story again, I would encourage more people to really consider the palliation and support at home as an option.
Yeah.
I think it's been very instructive, and I'm glad that you're sharing that experience, as vulnerable as and raw as it might feel right now, Kim. And obviously, I'd love to honour your dad by name as well, and maybe just a fond memory of him and what he did for you as a family.
Yeah. So his name was Peter Sawyer, and mad keen golfer, loved red wine, loved to punt, and was a man of very strong values, and a simple sort of humble man. And at his funeral, we saw the legacy that he has left behind in his 6 grandchildren, who all got up to speak beautifully about how he, their grandfather made them who they are today. So it was very beautiful for the family, and a great send off for Dad. So yeah. And funnily enough, I learned something about my dad. So apparently he was a corporate services manager back in his working day, and now I'm a corporate services manager.
Oh,
and I
wow.
knew that before,
so that's a full circle legacy moment for you. And we do want to do a special Raise the Roof for Peter Sawyer.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
A great family man who's left a legacy that's carried on in his amazing daughter and grandchildren. So it's just, and no doubt your community as well. And I'm sure Rob would have loved to have had a round of golf with him.
Oh, 100%.
So
he was playing up until 6 weeks before he passed away. So yeah.
Wow. Dedication.
I just caught the end of what you were talking about, just changing the subject with the ARIA page. So my team here, the executive team, we've all jumped onto the LIFT program, which has been subsidised by the government. So unfortunately, I missed the first of the sessions, which was on Wednesday, but started the paperwork. I just think it's brilliant to offer a leadership program that's targeted at aged care. So my shout out to
shout out to Aria and the LIFT program. And Reuben, could you tell us about it?
Give us a quick little overview of the LIFT program and what Kim's experiencing up in Townsville.
Sure, and the shout out well and truly goes to the team. We've again got a fantastic team behind it who not only developed it but piloted and tested it. So where it's come from, so one of the providers reached out to us now, I think a couple of years ago, saying, look, we really would to work with you on developing leadership specific for aged care, but also with a focus on innovation and change on. So we then worked with them, and then we in how we work, we then, when we get opportunities like this, we sense check it with other sector providers as well as our sector reference group, for example, and they all said, oh, absolutely and absolutely. So we went ahead with it, and now it's been such a fantastic program. In fact, we've now thank you for the kind words, Kim, and that's due to the team. But we've now do that in multiple formats. So for anyone that's hearing, we provide online only. We provide a face-to-face targeted program for organizations as well at the other end of the spectrum. So again, going back to what I said earlier, we want to remove barriers as much as we can so that people can access programs that we run, and we want to make sure that our programs are actually useful and are used. So if you have any feedback, Kim and your team, please let us know, and we want to continually keep evolving it. And I would love your feedback and how you found it as well in terms of the content and experience.
Yeah. I think the next one's in 2 weeks. So yeah.
Well, guys, I think we're coming up to the end of the show. So would like to thank Kim, friendly face of the show, coming on all the time. Reuben, thank you so much. And George Magellas, I'm sure we're going to have you back on for your own special episode. So one of these.
Yes.
See you guys next time.
Until next time.